MotorWeek is made possible by Lucas Oil and TireRack.com.
GM is looking at four-wheel steering a little differently than the Japanese. The Japanese emphasize the performance advantage of four-wheel steering. GM will concentrate on the practical. Because the system improves maneuverability, they may offer it on station wagons and large cars, not just performance cars. John?
Thanks, Beth. You know, it's good to see Detroit is again keeping up with technology. And now it seems like some Japanese car companies are going to have their day of reckoning. The new Toyota Tercel helps to illustrate that point and bring some history to mind. Back in the 60s and 70s, the Japanese car companies came to America with lots of low-priced small cars. They had American small cars beat by a margin of at least $1,000 per car. Well, now, here come the Koreans, beating the Japanese small cars by that $1,000 per car. So is it time for the Japanese to give up on the price-leading small car market as the Americans did before them? Not just yet. But as the Tercel shows, the Japanese are going to play the game a little differently.
Since they can't match the Koreans in price, Toyota's idea with this new Tercel is to give the small car buyer more bang for the buck. For one thing, that translates into better styling. It's sporty now, with crisp lines and improved aerodynamics. The front end gets flush halogen headlamps, and the grille gets a sharper slope. There's also a lower roof line, and the center roof pillar is hidden behind the rear window glass to cut wind resistance. There are three new Tercel body styles: a two-door coupe, a five-door hatch, and our three-door hatch. Wagon models are unchanged from last year. Our three-door test car was the deluxe model. Even so, its rear window wiper was an extra cost option. But this does come standard, a 1.5-liter four-cylinder, and it's been rotated 90 degrees to give the Tercel a shorter front end than before. This new power plant has 3 valves per cylinder and produces 78 horsepower and 87 pound-feet of torque. That's 16 horsepower more than last year's engine. Unlike many cars, the change to a transverse engine position hasn't hurt accessibility. Better yet, our front-drive Tercel turned in a 0 to 60 time of 11.3 seconds and zipped through the quarter mile in 19 seconds at 70 miles per hour. Fine performance by Econobox standards, and again part of Toyota's bigger bang for the buck small car strategy. And our test drivers had nothing but praise for the 5-speed manual transmission. The gear ratios were just right, and the shifters smooth and positive. The Tercel's front disc rear drum brakes also turned in a fine performance. Straight 110-foot stops from 55 were the norm. In the Tercel, it's easy to feel when the brakes are about to lock up, so you can hold the brakes right at the threshold and get the quickest, shortest stops. Tercel handling is impressive too. The nose swings easily into turns, while the suspension does an admirable job of controlling the standard Econobox body roll. The steering is a bit light on feel, but very precise, so you always know where the car is headed. Inside, the Tercel gets a big makeover for '87. The most obvious changes are new seats and a 3-spoke steering wheel. But it seems like they left the job half done, because what these new seats gain in looks, they lose in comfort. They're quite hard with minimal lower back support. Ventilation is good, but there are no standard internal controls for mirrors, hatch, or the fuel filler door. They're optional, but we've come to expect them as standard in all Japanese cars. For the record, they are standard in most cars from Korea. We also dislike the lack of full instrumentation. Why isn't there a tachometer on a car that's just gotten such a big boost in performance? But the climate controls are clearly marked and easy to use. And it's nice to see a radio that doesn't look like a pocket calculator. The rear seats offer typical Econobox room, which means that 6-footers will be a little cramped. The front seats slide forward to improve access, but they fail to return to their original position. Normal luggage space is also a bit cramped, and liftover is higher here than in many of the Tercel's competitors. But since an optional split-folding rear seat is available, you can still carry a good combination of people and cargo. EPA estimates for our Tercel liftback are 31 city, 38 highway. Our mostly highway test result was 40 miles per gallon. We also got a low interior noise reading of 67 decibels at 55 miles per hour. The high mileage figures are matched by the Tercel's price tag. The Tercel DX liftback has a base price of $7,458, and with options, our car sticker was a hefty $10,602, and that's still without many convenience items that most people want.
But there is an even less well-equipped base 3-door for $5,898, and the new 2-door begins at $6,548.
Our list of hits for the revised Tercel starts with its new engine and its big boost in power. That's followed by fine handling and an excellent transmission. There's also the superb gas mileage and sportier styling.
For Mrs., there's the high price. We also dislike the poor instrument package and uncomfortable seats, and the luggage compartment needs a lower liftover.
On our safety check, the Tercel passes with standard halogen headlamps, radial tires, and 5-mile-per-hour bumpers. It still lacks front passive restraints and rear shoulder belts. So while the Tercel does give more bang for the buck than many small cars, it still needs a few revisions for Toyota's strategy to really work. Even so, judging by the Tercel, we don't think the Japanese are even thinking about leaving the small car market to the Koreans, nor should they.